night. I know it was pretty raw last night. It hurt. It was painful. And it still is. But I woke up this morning and to a wall of texts from family, friends, loved ones in support of what we did as an organization. It gave me a little bit more perspective. I just want to, me personally, I just want to make the state proud of me. I just want to make the state proud of our organization. I want to make the state get behind us and be there for us every single day and get to that point where we can call ourselves a champion. And we got a taste of it, and it tastes really good. But it wasn't the final thing that we wanted to do. So I'm gonna remember the taste that's in my mouth right now, and I'm gonna enjoy it the best way I know how. But it's gonna motivate me to keep that feeling of what we almost attained, what we almost achieved. So that's kind of where I'm trending right now, pushing in that direction, working through it, cycling through a little bit, but I gotta make sure that I mention how proud I am of this team and how proud I am of this group that stuck together, that stayed connected in good and bad times, never doubted what our overall goal was, and that was to win a baseball game today, and it landed us in November. Who would have ever thought that we would have an extra month of baseball and we would play as far as we did into the season? I'm really proud of that, and I will make sure that I get that message out to these players. I'm gonna give them a little time away, let them decompress a little bit, but at some point we're gonna I'll start to connect with them, and I'm gonna make sure that they know how proud I am of them and how proud this entire organization is of them, because they made something very magical happen this year.
Torey, congratulations on your season.
Thank you.
Just to go back to last night real quick, didn't get a chance to ask you, but the moment with your family there, your wife knowing where to exactly be at the right time and bringing the kids with you, what was that like for you guys?
Yeah, that was brutal. That was an emotional moment for me. I'm an emotional creature. I try to hide that from you guys and try to be a tough guy, but I know you all know deep down that I can break down the best of them. I was looking for some support emotionally, and I think I didn't say it to anybody, and I think my wife knew that, and when I picked my head up and they were back there and they were all making a heart, that was rough. That was super rough, but it was my favorite moment of the postseason. I loved what happened between the white lines, but that when my wife asked me last night on the ride home, and all the kids were in the car, I wasn't making it up when they asked me what was the best moment of the postseason. I said there was 50 unbelievable ones, but one that took it over was what you guys did for me and acknowledged what we're all going through, and they just loved me up at a very critical time. I know Zach Davies. I don't know. Fourth string pitcher, and God asked Mike. I don't know.
I asked him. I did ask him.
Okay, Fernando Rodney had 39 saves. Closer will be Paul Sewald next year. Like I said, I gotta laugh at myself.
Yeah, Madison Bumgarner, you want to throw him into? What was you talked a lot about manage against poach. And basically it's your first real postseason experience elongated as a manager. I don't count 2017 or when you first got here because you were in and out so quick.
Right.
What was the experience like for you? As you learned in your growth as a manager.
Yeah, you got to make progress, and progress means growth, right? And I was able to just sit in a different chair that not a lot of managers get that opportunity to sit in, and I just continued to appreciate the moment, appreciate where I was, and wanted to make sure that I took deep breaths and thought through things with a clear head, knowing full well that across the field was a monster, was a baseball monster, and I studied Boach before I got to the big leagues. I understood what types of things he did, and it was surreal managing against him the first couple of years in San Francisco. But then it became very natural, and it became something where I could predict what he was gonna do, much like any manager does, and he was doing the same to me, and it was just, it's tough to read from across the diamond, there's zero emotion, but I loved the experience, and the fact that it was done against Bruce Bochy, who is gonna be an absolute Hall of Famer when he decides it's time to shut it down. He just won his 4th world championship. It's what we all aspire to get to, and I got a chance to watch somebody do it from a bird's eye view, and I'm gonna learn from some of the things that took place, and he did some things that I think experience led him down the road, bringing Leclerc in that game, will not let anything get out of control in a 5 game that wasn't a popular move based on the baseball traditions, but he wanted to lock that game down with his best piece, and he did. So I'll learn, but it was an honor to be across from him.
Do you have a decision that if you had it to do all over again, you might not do?
Yeah, I would have walked Seager and pitched to Garber. 3-0 game.
Game 4?
In game 4 with Castro, correct. That's probably the one that's sitting on me pretty hard. You don't know. I mean, we have scored 7 runs, right? But remember I talked to you guys about postseason baseball for me is about stopping momentum. You gotta make a change, and I took Zach Allen out of the game at whatever it was, 80 pitches, and I clipped it because I wanted to make a change to stop that momentum. So that one right there, I talked about it quickly, and I just thought, well, we're gonna have some weapons to get the next hitter to probably chase. We just made a mistake, but I wish I would have done that differently. That's once.
We were talking about this a little in the press box. What would you have done if Zach had gone through the 7th inning, gotten to 85, 90 pitches with a no-hitter, and you're still in a 0-0 game? I'm sure you guys thought that through.
Yeah, I was starting to get really uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie to you. Pitch count aside, this was a World Series, and Zach came in my office last night before he left to say goodbye, and we went over a couple things, and he said, I had no-hit stuff. I was prepared to throw a no-hitter, and I was gonna ask for you to let me go 110 pitches, 115. So I would have checked in with him after the 7th, I would have checked in with him after the 8th, saw where he was, and he had it going on yesterday, and I wasn't gonna get in his way, so I was gonna see it through his eyes. Then if I didn't like it, I was gonna make the parent decision and make a change if needed.
Torey, last night you said that you apologized to the fans and said you didn't feel you did your job. After reflecting on that and waking up to those texts, do you still feel that way?
A little bit less. Yeah, a lot of people inside of this baseball community probably saw that and they were addressing that. And I think that's what good friends do. People from across the country saw it and they're saying the same thing. Yeah, I still stand by that. I didn't do my job well enough to help us win a World Series, and I want to do that. I want to do that for everybody in this community, in this state. So I'm sorry, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to die trying to win a World Championship as a manager with the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's my promise to them.
Torey, how hard was it to say goodbye to the guys last night? I'm sure you'll have interactions with them, but Mike also brought up the point that might have been the hardest thing, is also sending a message for even the off season and how to come back next year, and kind of doing that all in that raw moment.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
That was rough. That was super rough. You're trying to thread the needle just perfect. You want to make sure that you're addressing what's happening presently, and I told them how proud I was of them and that I loved them. And thank you for the effort. Every coach in here, every trainer in here worked their butt off to push for them, and they accepted that. And then I had to kind of shuttle over to the next level of letting your mind and your body recover. It's time to be a husband, a father, a son, and give some time back to your family. But when it's time to go, we're going to be ready to go. We're going to be at that starting gate, and we're going to go hard. We're not going to stop. So it was a hard message for me to deliver because I was in a very emotional state. I saw a bunch of grown men crying yesterday, and I was one of them. hard to shuffle that deck and get back into that. I'm the leader of this group in the dugout. Stand up, be strong, which I wasn't, and give them some direction because they're all waiting for that. So there's a lot of hugs afterwards, a lot of goodbyes, and also lots I'll see you later and be in touch. And that's just what happens. It's like the most surreal feeling is waking up today and having no baseball game. That's weird. Came to the ballpark today dressed like this, and I'm gonna stay like this. I'm not gonna get into my uniform. It's just weird. It happens so fast. It's like getting a phone call, just bye, see you later, gone, and you don't see people for the next 4 months. It's very awkward.
If I could follow up real quick on just seeing guys, you mentioned Gowan, and he talked about going 110 and all through, just watching these guys push themselves to another level. And I imagine as you're managing, it's going deeper, and I'm sure it's kind of uncomfortable in a way, although it's exhilarating also. How do you think that will serve these guys next year?
Yeah, it's a very strong push in the right direction. Here's Zach Gallen through 240 innings, right? So we know he can get there, and he kind of tested himself, and he broke through some barriers. You have a number of young players that have playoff and October long sleeve baseball experience, and you can't simulate that. There's no way you can give Corbin Carroll, Geraldo Perdomo, Gabby Moreno, and Alec Thomas, 23, 24-year-olds, and Jordan Waller, this time and experience. So we're one big step ahead of the game when we step into spring training. They know what it's like, and it is the ultimate sacrifice, an ultimate commitment to one another, and it's 30 extra days of baseball. So that's hard to prepare for. Now they know what it's going to take throughout the course of the season. I will say this, right? As I was driving in today, when I take Merrill out of the game in the 5th inning and 90 pitches, he's not going to get mad at me because I can say to him, you're going to throw 245 innings this year. Zach, you're coming out of the game at 94 pitches in a 10-1 game. I'm going to try to save you 10 innings in the middle of the season, and we're gonna budget for the back end. I think they're going to understand that now. I would be thinking it, but they were not, and they never understood that. Maybe those guys will get it because they would fight me every time.
Torey, I know you said you're not fully ready to move on yet, but injury-wise, do you expect to have everyone other than Trey ready for spring training?
Yeah. I think so, and there's a lot of people that got hurt early in the year, or even spring training, like Corbin Martin, right? He's going to be ready to go. He was going to be a big piece for us out of the bullpen. So yeah, I think everybody's going to be as ready as they possibly can be. Dre clearly won't be ready until the very back half of next year, but we're in a good spot. We're in a really good spot. We've got a lot of young, talented players. I know that Mike and his group, I've been listening to some of the conversations. I don't participate. I keep my ear to the ground when they're talking in my office. They were trying to move into the next layer and next level about next year, but it was just hard to get there. So I don't know what's going to happen as far as forming the team. That's up to them. We're in a really good spot with what we have internally.
With Jake specifically, do you know what his timeline looks like? What his off season is going to be?
Jake McCarthy?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake was starting to get into ramp up some baseball activity, so he's going to be fine. I think if we played another 2 weeks, he could have been available to us, but that just wasn't in the cards.
Hey, Torey, did you book that camping trip yet? And then second, is there anybody that one of the things that you haven't had a chance to yet?
Yeah, I'm thinking about this whole system that's completely connected. I'm thinking about everybody in the DR that's just grinding away at it right now, prepping young players to come up to the United States. I'm thinking about all of our amateur scouts that have gotten players in here to fit our mold, and the scouts that have been sitting on the Phillies and the Dodgers and the Brewers, and the Rangers that just pumped information into us that helped us win inches and win moments. I'm thinking about these guys, right? Like they guide me and pick me up and dust me off. You know, the walk coming in and the walk going back after losses, putting their arm around me and saying it's gonna be okay. I had so much support and so many people inside of this organization that just kept pushing me that I couldn't stop, and I didn't want to stop for them. Sometimes you do things for the person that's sitting next to you. I think my mom, who would send me texts, I wish I could read them to you. She would talk about hitting the ball with authority the other way. I mean, quote, make sure that Christian Walker can hit the ball with authority the other way, because that's when he becomes very lethal. A 91-year-old mom telling me like that. And then, you know, just saying, ... Like, leave it up to me to go and deliver that message to Christian Walker. Hey, Christian, my mom said with authority, please. So I'm reminded of those conversations with my mom. You know, I thanked my spouse and my children last night. There's an army of people that love me up every single day, and I'm so grateful for that, because there are days where it's hard to keep going. It's a grinding 182, and we have a great spirit inside this clubhouse. We depend on one